good afternoon, everyone. My name is meteorologist Heather Kane. It's time for our daily hail forecast, sponsored as always by C3 Group, Merlin Law Group, American Contractor Show, as well as Atlas Roofing. Thank you guys, as always, for sponsoring our videos. So let's get right into our weather headlines. We do have a risk to see severe weather in the Great Lakes region today, along and ahead of a cold front. So we'll get into more details with this risk, as well as the other risks that we have for today for severe weather. And then getting into tomorrow, that risk will shift into the northeast, as well as down into parts of the southeast, along with that same cold front. And then, surprise, it's still hot. Will we see any relief in some areas? We'll talk about that as well. But before we get into the forecast, you guys know the deal. We do have a few events going on, one going on right now and one going on in a few weeks. The first one is down in Daytona Beach, Florida. We are currently at the Florida Roofing and Sheet Metal Expo. This will continue through Friday, so make sure you come on by and say hi to us if you're at the show. And then also in Florida, this time in Orlando on July 27th, we will be at the Riva, the roofing machine, at the Rosen Center Hotel. So again, if you're going to that event, come on by and say hi to us there. So here are yesterday's storm reports, sponsored by C3 Group. There wasn't a whole lot of activity. We did have some scatter reports across the western half of the country. For the most part, we saw most of the activity in the southeast. We also saw a few scatter reports here in the northeast, from Maine down into the northern parts of New York and shifting down to the southeast. You can see this is where most of the activity was yesterday. From the Carolinas westward to Georgia, even a report of some wind in Mississippi down into Florida, and yeah, just again some scatter reports here in the western half of the country. So here are current conditions across the lower 48. We are pretty quiet in the central plains. Again, it's really hot out there, humid, plenty of sunshine. Otherwise, we have this cold front here in the Great Lakes region that is going to spark off some shower and thunderstorm activity this afternoon and evening. And we're going to zoom right on into this area first. And you can see we already have some thunderstorms developing right now across Michigan. And actually, the C3 Group is not turning off. I don't know if you want to press the button, Matt, just press C3 Group again, because it's not going off. Otherwise, we'll just let this thing run because the computer wants to do its own thing. Anyway, so we do have some showers starting to form along that cold front right now in central Michigan, and those are going to continue to move off to the east. Otherwise, we have some showers going off in the southeastern part of the country along and ahead of that same cold front. We even have some showers going on in parts of Oklahoma and into the panhandle of Texas, which is great news because we need that rain. And then we have some showers going on in Colorado. This is another area that we'll be watching this afternoon and evening for severe weather. So here are current temperatures across the U.S. Oh yay, it finally turned on by itself. Woohoo! Sorry about that, you guys. C3 Group got, some good advertisement though. Don't worry, the other ads will be running and hopefully they don't get stuck. Cross your fingers. So current temperatures across the U.S. We have 87 in Kansas City, 98 down in Dallas. So these temperatures are already starting to get really warm and toasty out there, like we've been seeing for the last few weeks. 88 in Atlanta, 89 in Miami. So yeah, it's another toasty day out there. And unfortunately, along with that heat, we have some very uncomfortable dew points. 63 for a dew point in Chicago, 69 in St. Louis. So once we get up into the mid 60s, that's when we really start to notice that humidity a bit. And once we get into the 70s, it is just really uncomfortable and sticky and humid. We have a 74-degree dew point in Atlanta, 75 in New Orleans. So we have all of this moisture and the heat and instability to fire those storms this afternoon and evening along and ahead of that cold front that's going to track across the eastern part of the U.S. So let's take a look at some of our future radars. This is, again, just one particular run of one particular model. There are a few storms starting to fire up in central Michigan, like we just saw a few minutes ago, and this model is picking this up as well. As we get into the hours, you can see those storms will start to fire right along and ahead of this cold front. Detroit, you can see some severe weather between, I gotta do the math here, putting ahead 1 hour because this is at 3 p.m. Central, so 4:30 Eastern time. So between like 4 and 5 p.m., you guys should expect to see that severe weather rolling on in. And then as we get later on into the evening, that cold front will continue to push off to the east. So at 9 p.m. Eastern time, Cleveland, you can potentially see some severe weather as well. And those storms will continue to fire right along that cold front all the way down into Kentucky. And as we continue to move off into the evening hours, 11 p.m. Eastern time, Pittsburgh, you can get in on the action as well. And that activity will continue to move off to the east as we get into the overnight hours and eventually start to die off as we lose that heat and instability that has built up during the day. Now we're going to move a little bit further south along ahead of that same cold front. We do have a few showers going on right now in parts of Oklahoma as well as into Arkansas and northern Texas. As we get into this afternoon, we could see some pop-up showers, maybe a rumble of thunder or two along and ahead of that cold front. We need this rain. It's been really dry here recently, so this rain is very much welcomed. As we continue to go through the evening, you can see some more thunderstorm development here in western Kentucky, into western Tennessee, even down into the Red River Valley. I think these are going to be very marginal in terms of severe weather. Maybe a gusty wind of up to 68 miles per hour or two, nothing too crazy. As we get into the overnight hours, that activity will push off to the east and we'll just see a rumble of thunder or two. No severe weather is really expected as we get into the overnight and into tomorrow morning. Now getting into Colorado, we are dry for the most part right now, but as we get into this afternoon, this is at 2 p.m. Central, so 1 p.m. Mountain Time, we need to watch basically south of Denver, so Colorado Springs, Pueblo, we could see a storm or two pop up as we near 1 p.m. Mountain Time. And as we go forward in time here, you can see more activities expected to develop. Basically, like I said, Colorado Springs points south. And then as we get into the rest of the evening, that activity will move off to the east and enter western Kansas and the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas. So we'll get into more details in just a second on what I'm thinking in terms of hail and wind with the sizes and all that fun stuff. But yeah, getting into the overnight, again, just like in the east, as we lose that heating of the day, we should see a decrease in the intensity of those storms. Then lastly, we do have a very marginal chance to see some severe weather up in the northern plains. It's been the same deal for the last few days. We can't go a day without seeing a risk somewhere in the northern plains. So we're dry right now, and as we get later on into the afternoon and evening, this is at 7 p.m. Central Time, we could see a few storms fire just to the west of Fargo. And then as we go forward in time here, Fargo, you guys can see some marginally severe hail or wind potentially around 9 p.m. or so, and that activity will cross into western Minnesota. If I scoot off a little bit here to give Minneapolis the time of day, I guess. Oh, I love you guys. I couldn't come up with the right words. Here we go. The storms will be moving to the southeast into central Minnesota, but unfortunately, We could see some showers and maybe rumble thunder in the overnight hours, but no severe weather is expected for you guys. So that's why I wanted to move out of the way so we can show what's going on there for you guys in Minneapolis. So here is today's hail forecast. We have a few areas that we're going to be watching. The first one is right here in the Great Lakes region, and this is sponsored by American Contractor Show. Thank you guys for being a sponsor. We do have a chance to see marginally severe hail, anywhere from $1/4 to $1/2 size, from Detroit eastward to Cleveland, southward to Cincinnati and Louisville, Kentucky. I think the better chances for severe weather will be in the form of wind today, but some marginally severe hail is not out of the question for you guys. And then going up north into North Dakota, into western Minnesota, Fargo, you guys can see up to $1/2 size hail with any storms that move into your area. And then going down into the parts of Colorado that I just mentioned, Colorado Springs, Pueblo, down into parts of eastern New Mexico, you guys can see $1/4 to $1/2 size hail as well. Now in terms of our wind, same deal, though wind is going to be a bit larger with this cold front compared to the hail as you just saw. We're going to zoom right in to this area first. We have a chance to see 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts with those strongest storms from Detroit southward to as far west as Indianapolis to Louisville, Kentucky, Charleston. I think this is the best area that we will have for those severe wind gusts today. And those chances will stretch as far east as Pittsburgh later on this evening, and then down to the southwest to areas such as Nashville, Memphis, Tennessee, central Arkansas, so Little Rock, and then right along the Red River Valley, we could see a gust or two. Nothing too crazy though along this part. And now that I said that, we'll probably have some surprise storm. And then getting up into Fargo, and there goes my computer being a computer. Fargo, you can see up to 60 mile per hour wind gusts with any of those storms, as well as Colorado Springs and Pueblo, Colorado. You guys can see up to 60 mile per hour wind gusts as well for any of your storm activity this afternoon and evening. Now getting into tomorrow, we're going to wake up and still see a few storms going on in northern New York. And then as we get into the afternoon hours, this is at 1 p.m. Central Time, so 2 p.m. Eastern. Right along and ahead of that cold front, we can see some more thunderstorm development just to the east of Burlington, Vermont. And then look at this line of storms here in central Maine. This is by 7 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. We can see some pretty nasty storms here in Maine tomorrow evening. And then that front will start to move off the coast as we get into tomorrow evening, and those storms will start to weaken as well as we lose that heating of the day. And then getting into the overnight hours, a few scattered showers will be possible in New York and Pennsylvania, but the severe weather chances should not be there. And then going off into the southeast, right along that cold front, again, same deal that we saw in the northeast. Some storms will be ongoing as we wake up tomorrow morning here in the Carolinas, into eastern Tennessee, down into Georgia and Mississippi and Alabama. And then as we continue to go through the afternoon, you can see some stronger storms are expected to develop here in central South Carolina. And as we continue to go into the afternoon with that heating of the day, some more thunderstorm activity is expected. Atlanta, you can see some potentially severe weather tomorrow as well, down into southern parts of Alabama, into Mississippi, parts of Louisiana. And I will get to us here in Oklahoma in just a second. But as we continue to go through the evening, those storms are expected to move off to the southeast and weaken a little bit as we lose that daytime heating into the overnight hours, getting into early Friday morning. Now to Oklahoma, no severe weather is expected tomorrow, but it's been hot here. It's been really dry. but we do have a chance to see some showers and even a few thunderstorms. Nothing severe weather related. Again, though, tomorrow this should just be general thunderstorms for tomorrow afternoon. So this is tomorrow. This is at 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. You can see that thunderstorm activity going on here. We really need that rain, so hopefully this model pans out, because it's been really dry and really hot and uncomfortable. But as we get into tomorrow afternoon and evening, that activity will move off to the south, so hopefully Dallas can get some rain as well, because it's been hot down in Texas, just like it's been here in Oklahoma. So here is tomorrow's hail forecast. Again, we do have that chance of hail with that cold front moving off to the northeast the northeast. We're going to zoom on in here for some of the cities. Syracuse, Albany down to New York City, eastward to Portland, Maine. We can see up to $0.5 size hail with any of those storms that develop along ahead of that cold front. And taking a look at our wind forecast, you can see it's a bit more widespread. So let's get into the northeast first. A bit of a stronger chance for wind tomorrow, just like today. Compared to the hail, we could see 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts from Portland, Maine to Burlington, Vermont, down to Albany and New York City, and then along ahead of that cold front as well from Virginia down into the Carolinas, Atlanta, we can see up to 68 mile per hour wind gusts with those strongest storms. And that chance of wind will stretch westward all the way from Birmingham to Mobile, Alabama, to Jackson, Mississippi, and as far west as Shreveport, Alabama. And speaking of the heat, I know we have to talk about it, because it's been the bigger story for the last few weeks. It is hot as heck out there in most of the U.S., especially in the southern part of the U.S., as well as getting out into the desert Southwest. We have excessive heat warnings out for anywhere from temps up to 110, with those heat indexes getting up to 115. And then we had those heat advisories in this orange color, basically covering from the south into the Tennessee Valley, up into the Ohio Valley, even some here in the northeast. So make sure if you have to go outside that you stay hydrated, and to really stay inside if you don't really have to go anywhere, because it's going to continue to be hot. But hopefully we will get some relief in many of these areas within the next day or so. But unfortunately, that heat dome will continue to stick around. This is sponsored by Atlas. That heat dome is going to continue to stick around here in the southern part of the U.S. We do have this little trough here that is bringing that severe weather into the Great Lakes region. So that will move off into the northeast as we get into tomorrow. And yeah, so that severe weather will be here in the northeast for tomorrow afternoon and into the southeast. And that will move off getting into Friday. And then there will be another little one coming on in here on Saturday. So again, the northern plains will see a risk over the weekend, and that trough will start to move off. And then we get another little one starting to move into the northwestern part of the U.S. as we get into Sunday, and then getting into Monday. So we do have some risks that we'll be watching as we get into later in the week, as well as getting into the weekend. For Friday, we do have a few areas that we'll be watching. The first one is here in the northeast, still associated with that cold front, and then we have another disturbance that will bring the potential for severe weather in the northern Great Lakes region. And then getting into Saturday, basically the same areas we'll be watching for the chance for severe weather there. So it's going to be, a few busy days, and it's going to continue to be hot, but besides that, that's all I have for you right now. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and our TikTok page. where we've been creating some fun content for you guys. If you have any questions, concerns, or if you just want to say hi, you can give us a call at 855-334-4245. You can email us at info@hilltrace.com and check out our website at www.hilltrace.com. And I am meteorologist Heather Kay. I hope you all have a great rest of your Wednesday.